So a few days ago, I made a community post where I put the two main characters of the two shows I talk the most about on this channel against each other, Ruby Rose versus Ladybug. When I made that post, I guess I had an inkling Ladybug would win, but I thought it would be a generally even fight. Then I decided to make a YouTube short pitting their stats against each other. I've become a real big fan of those in the last week. Here's a link so you can see how it went. It's only about 30 seconds. As you can see, after doing the research, I concluded that Ladybug is basically superior to Ruby in several ways, and if you bother to look at the comments, many disagreed. And so here we are, with me making a video presenting my findings and looking at exactly how strong Ladybug and Chat Noir are, because why not? Now I must remind you that A, Ladybug and Chat Noir's power is equal to each other, and B, they are at least equal, but probably greater than other miraculous holders. With that in mind, let's begin.
I could have easily stopped that meteorite myself.
Now, strength is Ladybug and Chat Noir's least impressive stat. I'm not even joking. Ladybug and Chat are clearly far stronger than the average human, and over the course of the series, they've had various feats of strength, from stopping a giant flying safe filled with gold, to slowing down a speeding train, to throwing what I can only describe as a giant buster sword across Paris and nailing it into the side of the Eiffel Tower. There's also the football game with Penalty, who's strong enough to kick a ball and carapace through several buildings. It's also implied in this image that Marinette has stopped a falling plane, a different train, and a meteor. She later implies that she could stop this meteor by herself.
I could have easily stopped that meteorite myself.
It's not implausible to believe when Akuma brought a meteor down on Paris when you consider the abilities of the other Akuma. It wouldn't even be impressive. But I think a more consistent way to address their strength is looking at their giant enemies and how easily they are able to take them on. Particularly, they are able to walk off being thrown by Gigant Titan, who's strong enough to pull down the Eiffel Tower. It should be noted that when he pulled it down, he was pulling against Ladybug's yo-yo, and she was just standing there, casually holding on to it. On her first day on the job, she was able to topple a stronger version of Stoneheart than the one that knocked over this building that is believed to be in Montparnasse Tower, which is 210 meters tall, as well as force an even stronger version of him to move his arm. She was able to manhandle Lollipop Boy and even hold back one of Kuroneko's paws when it was trying to crush her. When she and Chat Noir swapped Miraculous and fought Reflector, their attacks were strong enough to send it stumbling back. And in the season 4 finale, she was able to completely stop Strike Back, a monster almost as big as the Eiffel Tower, from moving. And if you want to go more specifically into attack power, Chat's attacks are consistently shown to be on par with Ikari Gozen, who can destroy buildings with a swing of her sword. They also caused this massive explosion in their fight, which, if that's supposed to be the Rue de Paris, even though the actual Rue de Paris is no longer in France, was 60 meters or 200 feet tall. With all that in mind, Ladybug and Chat Noir's strength can easily be scaled from city block level to town plus or even large town level. Stronger than you'd expect, but ultimately the least impressive of all their stats.
Say, which direction do you reckon would be the shortest way to go around the world? Across the Arctic or the Antarctic?
Speed and agility has always been a great part of how Ladybug and Chat Noir fight. With many enemies who would defeat them with one hit, they often can't afford to let any attacks, especially ranged ones, touch them. And as long as Chat isn't sacrificing himself for Ladybug, they are really good at it. Anyone who's watched Miraculous's first episode should be unsurprised that Ladybug and Chat Noir are extremely fast. They are able to consistently dodge Stormy Weather's lightning attacks, be it shot down at them from a cloud to being used like a lightning gun by the villain in question. However, Ladybug and Chat also have a consistent rate of dodging lasers that should be moving at light speed. Now, it's not easy to determine which Akuma's attacks should count as lasers. Would you consider Pharaoh's eye blasts and the gamer's attacks as lasers? But there are 3 examples I can bring up with confidence: Pixelator, Reflector, and the Akumatized Techno Pirate. Pixelator's attacks make use of a camera to take photos of his target, and it can be reflected back at him with a mirror. Reflector is a mirror-themed villain who shoots beams from the mirror on the back of her hand and whose attacks can also be reflected with a mirror. Technolyzer just blatantly uses lasers from the technology in his body to fight. Ladybug and Chat Noir are able to dodge said attacks, outrun them, defend others, and even carry out an emotionally taxing conversation while doing so, putting them solidly in the relativistic class when it comes to combat speed. When it comes to travel speed, they are comparable to the mime, who was able to run so fast he covered several meters and caught this man before he could react. I must also mention their space power-ups, which gives them the ability to fly and a speed increase. Now, I'm not sure how this matches up to their combat speed, but it does massively increase their travel speed. Both Ladybug and Chat Noir, while lying to each other, plan to use it to race from Shanghai to the poles and to Paris. They don't actually do it, but they believe that the other does. They are also able to fly from the ground to space in a few minutes. The satellite they travel to is so far away, this is what the Earth looks like from it. Unfortunately for all of you, I have no idea how to calculate their distance from the Earth, though I do know it took them less than 3 minutes because they actually had a timer. Also, that's not even the most impressive thing they've done. Here's Chat Noir covering the length of the Earth several times over to reach Tiki's planet-sized galette in a few seconds. Now, I'm new at this, so someone who more experienced could probably do it better, but here's my calculation of how fast Chat is going. I started by getting 2 images of Chat flying at the galette a second apart. By measuring the length of the Earth in the pixels, comparing it to the diameter of the planet, and then the difference between Chat's distance from the Earth in pixels in both images, I arrived at the conclusion that he is moving at roughly 0.023% the speed of light. So this puts their casual combat speed at light speed plus and their travel speed at supersonic plus in their base forms. With their space power up, their travel speed goes up to sub-relativistic. It's unclear how this affects combat speed, but it's most likely greater. Though in all honesty, this is small potatoes considering the true power of their Miraculous, as I will elaborate on later. Let's just say that there are some who scale Ladybug to 1 trillion times the speed of light. I wouldn't agree, but you can do it.
We'll rest for a while till Ladybug comes back.
This is where the fun begins, because Ladybug and Chat Noir's greatest base stat is undoubtedly their durability and stamina. Just for starters, the fact that Akuma and other Miraculous holders are able to fight them and each other means that strength-wise, their durability at least scales to their strength and AP, or attack power. Some examples are playing football with the penalty team, whose kicks are this strong.
Ladybug's team seems thrown off course.
Chat taking no damage from being hit by Stoneheart. Both Ladybug and Chat being thrown by Gigant Titan and taking no damage. Tanking a laser beam from knockoff Supergirl. This is all compounded by the fact that most attacks they do take do absolutely nothing to slow them down. They also face enemies like Stormy Weather, who created a massive volcano that moved the Earth out of its orbit, and Siren, who could flood Paris with her tears. But beyond that, they have some insane feats of durability and stamina that are sort of just glossed over in the show, which in and of itself loops back to make it more impressive that they can harm each other. When it comes to stamina, the best feats belong to Aspic and Bonix. Bonix was perfectly fine while asleep inside a sarcophagus in a sort of suspended animation for millennia. And as Aspic, Adrien rewound time 25,913 times. Considering he has a limit of 5 minutes, this comes down to somewhere under 3 months, all spent fighting, rewinding time, and trying to come up with a way to save Ladybug. And he did it without losing his mind from lack of sleep or rest or seeing Ladybug constantly being captured. In fact, he had no negative consequences afterwards. And these are done by weaker Miraculouses than the Ladybug and the Black Cat. The 3 greatest durability feats in the series also belong to Adrien. As Snake Noir, he fell through a portal that put him in deep space extremely close to the sun, and his only concern was a lack of oxygen as he rewound time. This displays resistance to change in pressure regarding gravity, cosmic radiation, and the heat of the sun. Now some may question how Chat was so unaffected by the extreme temperature change when he and Ladybug need ice power-ups to fight Froza. But Froza was powerful enough to casually freeze all of Paris in seconds. It's not impossible to consider his cold a more extreme temperature change. Plus, Ladybug and Chat Noir were relatively unaffected by stormy weather storms which threatened to freeze all of Paris and France, but at a much slower rate. For resistances, we know Ladybug and Chat Noir have ice and water type power-ups, and reportedly, there's a fire one, which must be some really high temperatures. Unfortunately, it seems toy sales regarding these have been low since they switched them out for the extra Miraculous holders concept, so we haven't seen many. The second feat was when we take note of the actual most powerful attack Chat has had hit him. An attack strong enough that he was really affected afterwards, though not so much that he couldn't be useful, and that's when he was hit by his own cataclysm power.
So, that's what it feels like to get cataclysmed. I promise I'll never call the dinosaurs a bunch of wusses ever again.
I'll go more into it in the next section, but Chat's durability scaling to his own cataclysm is extremely impressive. But in the meantime, here's Chat's cataclysm completely destroying a galette several times the size of the Earth. And that's the third feat. As you can see, the explosion is so massive and so fast, Chat is actually caught in it. He later arrives in Paris to help fight the Dearest family without issue. All things considered, stamina comes out nigh limitless as long as their powers aren't used, and durability even without touching on extreme ranges, from country level to even large planets. You know, unless the writers want them to lose. And I haven't even scratched the surface of their potential. Just keep the fact that he scales to cataclysm in mind when I go into the next section.
Miraculous Ladybug!
Power, at least in this video, refers to Ladybug and Chat's special abilities, Lucky Charm and Miraculous Ladybug for Ladybug and Cataclysm for Chat. Now, before I get into the best feats of these abilities, there are some things to note. 1. Ladybug and Chat Noir do not operate at their full ability due to their age. Hawkmoth and future Bonix, wielding weak and Miraculous, can use their abilities several times in a row, and Hawkmoth was able to match them both in the fight because he's an adult who's had his Miraculous probably for longer than the heroes have even been alive. That being said, they are still incredibly powerful, wielding the powers of the concept of creation and destruction. These powers are so great they need humans to control them, lest Plague cause another extinction level event, or even Tiki for that matter. Miraculous Restoration, which is what I'm going to call it because it's not always called Miraculous Ladybug, is Ladybug's ability to fix any damage caused by akumatized people and other Miraculous users, capable of undoing damage, restoring people who've been transmuted into non-living things, and moving anything. Also, considering how much damage Akuma caused to Paris, it probably also brings the dead back to life. Remember when I mentioned stormy weather moving the planet with a volcano? Well, Ladybug's Miraculous Ladybug instantly moved it back into place. The folks at Versus Battle Wiki are much better at doing numbers and calculations than me, and unlike Chat's Galette feat, they've actually calculated this, placing it as a dwarf star level feat. Unfortunately, the Miraculous Restoration won't do much in battle. This is just a taste of the extent of Ladybug's power. And it's not even that impressive considering that in both Timebreaker and Chat Blanc, it was shown to be able to fix damage in other timelines and the future. And in Ephemeral, it fixed the damage caused to time by Sass's timeline reversal power going haywire. But let's get to something that will actually help in a fight. Lucky Charm. An incredibly hacks ability that gives Ladybug whatever she needs to win in a fight, albeit while forcing her to think about it. Considering the raw power I've already pointed out she has, it's entirely possible it could just summon a planet-sized mech suit if needed. And given it could summon car keys that worked on a specific car they would later use for a plan, even underwater, it shows a level of innate intuition. I mean, it gave her a pencil to defeat stormy weather when she was moving the Earth. And Ladybug succeeded. And it can make weapons considering it once made a rocket launcher and a futuristic ray gun, as well as vehicles like a sports car and a fire truck. But let's go into the best Lucky Charm feat, Tiki's Giant Galette, which I will try and calculate here. It's at this point that I realize that I have no idea what the density of a galette is. Honestly, this show is the only place I've even heard of one. But no one's going to grade me on accuracy and there are more impressive feats than this, so I'll substitute bread. 3 quadrillion kilograms probably looks more impressive than it is, but it's about 9 zeros short of the weight of the Earth. Remember, as big as it is, that's still a pastry. But frankly, it pales in comparison to Chat's greatest Cataclysm feats. Cataclysm is Chat's ability to destroy anything he touches. He actually has incredible control of the rate of destruction as long as he's not doing something dumb like using it on ice cream by accident. This is displayed with the oft-destroyed Eiffel Tower. In one episode, he was able to destroy only a small section of it because he wanted to trap his opponents in the bars. Now, there are two feats of note. The first is destroying Pixelator's pocket dimension. It's unclear how big it is, though Adrien comments that when he looks around, he can't see anything in any direction. But we know other people are trapped in it because when he destroys it, they're all freed. This leads to a range of conclusions from it's relatively small, but the people who are captured are separated just far enough that they can't see each other over the horizon, which would only need to be about the size of a city. And from there, it could be as big as you think it is, going all the way up to the size of a normal dimension. The next feat is something I've already shown you, because Chat is the one that completely destroys Tiki's galette with the casual use of his cataclysm, making it explode. Now, while this is admittedly inconsistent with previous portrayals, there are two explanations. It might be because it's actually near the limits of his current power, or a result of him using cataclysm on a lucky charm, mixing Plague and Tiki's energy. I'm more partial to the latter. Back to calculating. And that's without taking into account the velocity of the explosion, which was several times faster than 6,000 kilometers per second. In case it was unclear, this is where the planetary durability comes from. You could line the Earth from one end of the explosion to the other 13 times and still have space. The most unrealistic thing about this scene is that the Earth wasn't knocked off its orbit. You know, fans, including me, give this show grief for its portrayal of Chat's power, but he is carrying this power scaling video. So, in their current forms, Ladybug and Chat Noir's special powers going purely off feats easily hit large planetary to maybe even universal, while Miraculous Restoration is multiversal and even greater than time. And really, is that surprising when you look at the abilities they are supposed to be superior to? The Horse Miraculous's teleportation, the Rabbit's time travel, and all the powers of the Akuma granted by Hawkmoth. But that's only their limited power. Let's look at what they are like when their power is unrestrained.
I'm giving you the infinite power of destruction.
Now, what is Chat Blanc? For people who watch the show, this may seem like a weird question, but I'm asking this in terms of his ability. Chat Blanc is what happens when Hawkmoth tortures his son a bit before akumatizing him and granting him the infinite power of destruction. But that's not right, because Chat already has the infinite power of destruction. He's powered by the god of destruction. For all his experience, the butterfly Miraculous is still weaker than the black cat. What's most likely happening is that Hawkmoth is removing all restraints on Chat's power. This isn't the first time Hawkmoth has been able to use akumatization to remove restraints on Miraculous powers. This is further emphasized by Chat having even greater control of his ability and being able to use it several times without limit, like Hawkmoth. At this point, he loses his mind and creates a massive explosion that instantly kills Ladybug and Hawkmoth, destroys Paris, and breaks the moon. An attack he himself survived unscathed. Yeah, this episode goes hard, and not just because Chat Blanc completely negs all the stats I've been talking about for the last 25 minutes. God, I've been recording this for a long time. But what I want to draw your attention to is what he does when he stops asking nicely for Ladybug's Miraculous. Well, as nicely as someone who's completely lost his mind can, and gets serious.
I might as well destroy you, me, our memories, everything!
Here, Chat creates a ball of destruction that completely dwarfs the Milky Way galaxy in a few seconds. Here are images showing you just how big and how fast it is. But even this is nothing on the actual destructive capacity of the attack. Connecting to his threat to destroy everything, including their memories, we get a glimpse of Bonix's burrow, a separate time space connected to all moments and places in time, and all the screens begin to scramble as he decides to launch the attack. This means that his power would extend to destroying the past and future, destroying all of existence. Also, this is what I was talking about when I mentioned scaling Ladybug to 1 trillion times the speed of light, because she could avoid Chat Blanc's attacks. At least the Versus Battle Wiki thinks so. I disagree. He was clearly not serious until the very end, at which point he literally went from 1 to near infinity. You can scale Chat Blanc's own speed to that, but not Ladybug, because she immediately started panicking and giving up when she saw him get serious. It makes more sense to scale her to his less extreme attack speed when he destroyed the moon, which is consistent with her faster than light combat speed. Anyway, at this point we're going to need a new comparison because light is too fucking slow. But going back to destroying the past, that's not that wild an accusation considering how the wish function of the Miraculous works. With the power of creation and destruction, it destroys reality as you know it and rebuilds it in accordance to your wish. It doesn't just grant a wish, it basically restarts the universe with whatever change you want put into it. The Ladybug and Black Cat Miraculous are strong enough to create or destroy all of reality if they are in the wrong hands. Good thing they are safe in the hands of two teenagers. God, this was an ordeal. And it all started because I wanted to try my hand at an image pool. It'd be unfortunate if YouTube wound up burying this, so please, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and leave a comment telling me what you think about all these massive power escalations, and subscribe for more content. Thank you and good day.